The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Welcome to Spears and Ali on ESPN Tucson.
Justin Spears, I like that.
With Justin Spears and Ali Farhang on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, ESPN Tucson. Brought to you by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Rightway Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
I want to be entertaining, but I'm not stupid enough to compare myself to Ali.
Arizona football, very active in the transfer portal, bringing in a ton of guys, including a bunch of players in the defensive secondary. And they need some bodies in the secondary after losing a handful of guys. And one of those guys that's looking to bring some big-time talent and depth is Tyrese Boss, former Wyoming cornerback, who joins us here on ESPN Tucson. Good morning, Tyrese. How's it going?
Good morning. It's going good. How are you?
Good, man. Thank you for being a part of the show, and welcome to Tucson, Arizona. I know you're in California right now, but you're getting ready to join the Arizona football program. Let's go back through your recruitment. I know the transfer portal, it's like you're drinking from a fire hose. You got some schools that are looking at you. I know it's a very challenging process, and there's a lot that goes into the transfer portal. But, after looking at your options, why was Arizona the right choice for you?
Like you said, you do a transfer portal, it's crazy because you only get that one window now and it's so short. But, Arizona made it really clear, like the whole coaching staff, made it really clear that, they felt like I was a piece that could really help the team elevate in this, in the room as a corner. And, they're also like really welcoming the whole coaching staff as well, just like really greeting me with open arms. As soon as I walked in the building, it wasn't just handshakes, it was like hugs. Everybody gave a hug. And, that's kind of like a thing that, you don't really get from a lot of coaching staffs. And I'm talking about from head coach all the way down, and then even like the position coach, Coach Chip, he looked past me as a player, as far as like he seen me more as a person. He was looking at me as a person. So like, it wasn't just football conversations on my visit. It was a lot of, life talk, family talks, and like conversations that I feel like, you look for in a coach, so that way he can help you as a man off the field, on the side of football. So that's kind of what really made me, gravitate toward Arizona and just want to make that decision.
Talking with Tyrese Boss, Wyoming cornerback, right here on ESPN Tucson, one of the newest additions to Arizona's transfer portal class. And take us back through your upbringing. So you're from the L.A. area. You grew up in Chino Hills. Is that correct?
Yes. I went to high school in Chino Hills, but I stayed in Rialto for a little bit of my, early my life with my grandparents. My grandparents kind of helped raise me with my mom. So basically what happened was, I stayed in Rialto. My dad didn't want me to stay out there. He thought it would be better for me to get out of there and kind of, go to a city that's more established. So we ended up moving to Chino Hills because my mom had a job in the corrections facility over there in the prison. So it was kind of just more convenient and more, more easier for us to commute to my football and stuff like that out there. So my dad, he ended up passing away in 2019 from colon cancer, and then my grandma passed away in 2017. So I had like a rough 2 years right there when I was younger, and it kind of made me realize like, what life was all about. It's like at a young age. So I kind of say like my mentality changed, like kind of grew up fast at a young age. So, and then, my mom just kind of, she's single parent, raised me. That's my rock right there. That's my dog. But and then recently we just took another loss to the family. My grandpa just passed away in December. So that's why the whole thing was kind of like the Arizona thing was really like a good opportunity for me to get back home, and be there for my mom and stuff like that. But it's really just me and my mom. I got a sister. I got sisters. I got a brother. They're kind of like split siblings, half and half. Same mom, different dads. But it's a couple of us. We don't really talk that much, but it's real good. It's a tight little family. They tap in when they can. Check on me and stuff like that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about after losing your dad and losing grandparents. How did that loss, I guess, change your outlook on life, and how does that, I guess, harden you, and how does that affect you?
Yeah, it affected me. I think since I was so young, my grandma's for sure affected me the most. But like after that, I kind of started, I just took it to the chin and was like, this is life. Everybody's gonna have to experience it one day, and it's something that I can't let pull me down. So I guess I just used it all as motivation toward the game, because I made promises to them that, one day they'll get to see me play. So like every day I just think about that. I like let that push me into the day and keep me like motivated.
Well, Tyrese, coming to Arizona, let me ask you, as a cornerback, you talk about guys that are better in zone or better in man-to-man. How would you describe yourself?
At first, coming into Wyoming, I really thought I was a zone corner, but they really helped me develop into a real good press corner. So I like to say I like to be impressed a lot now. So you'll catch me down there a lot this season, in a lot of receivers' faces. So I think I got real comfortable being down there at the line and just hamming people up at the line.
Let me ask you this, man. I'm kind of an idea man, and I heard you were going to be on the show today. Randy Moss was a great receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and he was so good getting 50-50 balls that they would say you got mossed. You put a couple of footballs on that turnover sword. Are you going to come up with something saying you got bossed?
Yeah, I might. You might hear that a couple of times. Yeah, we might have to make that a thing.
Yeah.
You got bossed.
You got bossed, man. I can't be the first guy that's ever brought that up, right?
No, you actually are the first.
Oh, wow.
That's
Yeah.
the first time, That's first.
Take us through. Because when you were coming out of high school, is it fair to say that maybe you were under recruited?
Oh yes, sir. Well, I think so, most definitely. I kind of don't really like to say that though, cause I'm like a real humble dude. So like I kind of just feel like that was a situation I got put in. Going to a little smaller school like Chino Hills is really not a football school. You got like the bigger schools like Centennial, Rancho, Mater Dei kind of in the area. So I kind of knew that it was gonna be a little bit more for me to get like the bigger offers out of high school. But yeah, yes sir.
Does that put a chip on your shoulder, man, as you played at Wyoming and now you're coming and you're a Wildcat, coming up into this season and for the rest of your college career? I mean, does that offer you a constant source of motivation? Or it's like, I was overlooked and I'm going to show everybody?
Most definitely. It's kind of it's like an underdog story to me. You kind of I was out of high school I wasn't recruited by any kind of teams closer to the West Coast. It was more all the Big Sky and Wyoming actually came in last minute, so I really didn't have the Mountain West until the last minute, and Wyoming just threw that shot. So it's the same thing, kind of like what I said with my grandparents, stuff like that. I just use it as motivation. Every time I hit the field, I know that people might think that like, okay, well he was only went to Wyoming, he hasn't really played anybody, but I think I played a lot of good comp. I came, coming out of Winter Circle, I played with guys like Marcus Harris and DJ Dejon Lee at Bama right now. So we all kind of grouped together at a young age and really was competing for like competing for spots at the time because we all played on the same team. So I think it's just something I got in the back of my head that I have to show to everybody that okay, just because I didn't get the looks that you guys got out of high school, or like I wasn't 5 stars like you guys, like the stars don't mean anything.
Yep.
I do know.
Yep.
I do know. I was just telling Justin, it's like, you got all these teams with like 40, 50, 5-star, 4-star guys, and the team that's probably going to win the national championship's got 8.
Yeah.
Man. Tyrese, I want to talk about your visit to the U of A. I like you mentioned, it was all hugs, right? It was that family home atmosphere. Tell us about the experience at Brent Brennan's house and the chocolate chip cookies that Mrs. Brennan made.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we got there. That was kind of like one of the first things we did, and we're driving up these roads, windy roads, and I'm like, oh, where are we going? Like, I have no clue where we're going. But then, we pulled up, and it was actually a great experience. Like it wasn't like it didn't seem like it was a put together thing. It seemed like a thing that they do regularly. So like, inviting us and having us there, it was actually a cool experience. They had all a couple of players watching the game, some of the staff in there watching the game, eating food. Like it wasn't something that seemed like it was just for the visit. It seemed like they're doing that on a weekly basis or something like that. So like, it was just like I said, they welcomed us in their home. Mind you, I had my family there, so they brought my family in. It wasn't just like they were talking to me; they were talking to my whole family. Like I said, they were looking past me into my family. So like, and he was like, one big thing to them was just like, the support system I have. Like that's why they were talking to my family so much because they were like, if my support system's good, then I should be good, And yeah, I mean, those cookies were great. Cookies are great. They're real good. Yeah, I had me a
We heard
couple
10
for
out of
sure.
10, man. We heard Courtney Brennan, man. She knows how to whoop up a cookie.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, so good, it's a recruiting violation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But lastly for us, Danny Gonzalez, the Arizona defensive coordinator, has established himself as one of the top DCs in college football. You saw that this past season. What are those conversations like with him, and how does he, I guess, plan on using you in the defense, and how excited are you to play for a guy like that?
I'm excited. Just, the scheme that I feel like they run is a lot more complex, but I feel like it's going to put me in a lot more positions to make plays. And I really do feel like, he's one of them coaches that trusts his players. I don't know if you guys watched the last couple, drives of the last game, the bowl game, but he was like, he put the players out there and had them running zero coverage, you know what I'm saying? Man coverage,
Yep.
because he trusted his players a lot. And I think that's a big thing to I think that's a big thing to success for a team. Like a coach really putting his trust in the players and like, man, I believe in you guys, so go do what you do. And I really like that. And I really hope that, we do that again, because I know I like to press a lot. So I hope he gives me the opportunity to kind of like help me like shut down receivers and give me the opportunity to just show that I can shut down receivers. So
Who's a
I think it's
cornerback
gonna be good.
Who's a cornerback that the youngsters are looking at nowadays in the NFL? Are there any guys that you look at or emulate your game after?
Um, I wouldn't say I think you said cornerbacks, correct?
Corner, yes.
Yes, okay. So yeah, I think, growing up, I did like the prime Jalen Ramsey. Like when he
Oh
was
yeah.
coming, when he was at the Jaguars, coming straight out of college, I think that he was like a lot more aggressive and stuff like that. I did watch Richard Sherman a lot because I love the Legion of Boom. I was watching, guys like Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, like those guys. I think they really helped my game on my physical aspect of it. So, and I think now I would say a corner I look at now, I was looking at Sauce Gardner a lot when he first came in the league. So those are kind of like, some people that I like to build my game after and stuff like that.
Heck yeah.
Well, you started great with Pittsburgh Steeler Jalen Ramsey, and I feel good juju coming from you for my Steelers tonight, so I appreciate that, Tyrese.
Yeah.
That is Wyoming cornerback transfer Tyrese Boss, one of the newest members of the Arizona Wildcats. He's joining us on Spears and Ali right here on ESPN Tucson.
Jalen Ramsey's getting 2 picks tonight just because of Tyrese.
Because the boss, man.
Yeah.
Living the boss life right here on ESPN Tucson. Tyrese, thank you again for your time. We appreciate it, man, and welcome to Tucson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. I
down,
appreciate
man.
it.
Bear down. Remember, you got bossed. So
You got
Yep.
we got
Nah,
this.
you got boss for
bossed.
sure. Yep.
Thanks, Tyrese. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.